So yesterday, my start for the slate was TJ McConnell and Denny Avdia, and then I got off a little bit of Denny when he wasn't starting, but it kind of doesn't matter. I think Denny's going to play close to 30 minutes without Rui Hachimura anyway, and then TJ McConnell is still 6K on DraftKings. I think he's 6,700 on
Hmm.
FanDuel, and it's just too cheap. So TJ McConnell should probably be in most of your lineups, and the same with Denny Avdia.
Okay. Yeah, I think the Washington Wizards are kind of a good spot in general for the most part too. I think that's not a bad idea. So we'll get into the injury news. I'm going to start with kind of an easy one. Okay, we'll start with the Milwaukee Bucks. Okay, because that one should be the most simple one, I think. Okay, and then we'll dive down to the other stuff. So Bobby Portis has been listed out. So with that, we kind of know Brook Lopez is going to get his minutes, gets a little bit more usage. His per 36 numbers with Bobby Portis off the court about 36. And we could potentially see their lineup shift down to Javon Carter, but that really just depends on someone like Chris Middleton. Is he going to play a lot, and how many minutes he's going to play? What are you kind of doing with that injury situation there, or is this just not a game that you feel the need to target?
So when Bobby Portis is out, someone has to get a couple extra minutes. It's usually going to be Jordan Nwora, but I'm not sure since Holiday, Middleton, and Giannis are all, they're all likely to play tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And so in this kind of situation, like you said, like you mentioned, Brook Lopez, I kind of rather just give a little bit of a bump to Brook Lopez, as he should be up a little bit higher, a couple more rebounding opportunities, and then we'll have to take a look closer to lock. But a player like Jordan Nwora or Mamukilashvili might pop up as interesting later. But
What about someone like Joe Ingles at all? He had been someone that had been getting 20 plus minutes. Doesn't take much for him to get hot shooting a three ball. He is a little bit priced up, I guess, on DraftKings.
So Joe Ingles is at 4K. He's a guy I'm more interested in playing when like Chris Middleton or Drew Holiday or one of the ball handlers is out. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know that Joe Ingles' usage goes up that much with Portis out. Ingles isn't exactly a high volume shooter, and it's really he just needs the ball in his hands to do well. So I don't think that's someone I'm going to be targeting tonight. But
Okay.
Connaughton and Grayson Allen, their prices are reasonable, so we can consider them.
Yeah, it just feels like they're all, if you end up on them, you're fine with it, really, except for Brook, where you could be making an exception to go out of your way to play him.
Yeah, I'm always okay getting to a 1% owned Brook Lopez when he's at the 6K price.
Mm-hmm. All right, so where should we jump into next? Should we just jump into the Wizards a little bit since we already touched on that?
Yeah, the Wizards, we'll have to see over the next couple games how their rotation is, but we got a pretty good look at it yesterday with Porzingis out. Gafford fouled out. Denny played
Mm-hmm.
all the minutes off the bench. Kuzma should be a great play. I thought he was a great play yesterday. He just didn't work out. Hopefully that drives his ownership down a little more today. And then the guys off the bench, like Delon Wright, I was pretty high on him yesterday. He had a really good game, but it didn't matter because Peyton Pritchard did pretty much the same thing. But
Mm-hmm.
he's a guy that I think we should be considering at low ownership. He's only playing around 24 minutes a game,
Yep.
but he does a lot in those minutes, and they're playing Houston tonight, so it's a good matchup for both teams.
So what I have a question. So I think Gafford's going to be a pretty strong play today, assuming he doesn't foul out again. Um, at 4.7, I personally feel like he's firmly in play there, only 10% owned. If he fouls out or if he gets into foul trouble again, would it just be Anthony Gill getting 20 minutes again? And if so, at the minimum price, can we consider him?
So the thing with Anthony Gill is he just doesn't produce fantasy points. He did once a few games ago, but let's say like Gafford fouls out, Denny was the guy who got the benefit because he's just a rebounding machine apparently. And so
Yeah, that
I
is a
think
cheap price tag too.
yeah, and so I think Denny's the big spot, and then Gafford at 10% ownership under 5K. There's no Porzingis, so if he doesn't foul out, he's going to be such a good play at 4,700 if no one's playing him. But you do have that risk of fouling out. So
Yeah. I mean, so we have Gafford at, what is it, about 25 minutes. And that's obviously assuming that he doesn't get into foul trouble. He's already someone that is a point per minute player, especially with Porzingis and with Hachimura not there. He could easily go for one of those ceiling games that he had, previously, 30 points, and he even had 23 while falling out and having 19 minutes last night. So, yeah, just at that low ownership, it does make some sense to me. Any love for Bradley Beal or just not? No.
so it's the same problem. Like Bradley Beal, he's so cheap. This is like the cheapest we've seen him in a few
Mm-hmm.
seasons, but he doesn't play over 30 minutes, and so it's hard for me to have a lot of interest in him. Like even yesterday, I thought he was finally going to have a good game. He started off great, and then just fizzled out. And it's the minutes thing. If he's not playing 36, 38 minutes and doesn't have the potential to, then it's a really hard player to target. Now his price is down.
Mm-hmm.
So we can consider him, but it's really tough right now. Yeah, 30
Yeah.
minutes, 28, 29 minutes.
So any other big injury news we should touch on? I know we got some news that the Denver players could sit. Should we kind of just do some if-then statements for that Denver team?
Yeah, that's the big one with Denver. And based on the line movement, I kind of get the feeling that Jokic and Jamal Murray are going to sit out. I think we can assume MPJ is going to be out again.
Okay.
But Murray and Jokic, that's a big deal. If one of them sits, we still like playing the other one. If both of them sit, then it's a boost to Bruce Brown, Aaron Gordon if he plays, Bones if he plays. We'll have to figure out a couple of the other guys because they're going to be very short on bodies. So we'll have to take a look at the model if we get that news early.
So really, the only person that we know for sure that's playing is Bruce Brown, right? Everyone else is basically questionable.
As far as we know, yeah. And if pretty much anyone is out, Bruce Brown is going to look like a great play at his price.
Mm-hmm. Locking in pretty much 25 or so fantasy points. I would take that, yeah.
The potential for more.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, exactly. And what time is the lock for that game? It's a little bit later, right?
It's at
7.
Yeah. And so we have 4 games locking at that time. And so we have a little bit of time after lock to make some decisions.
Mm-hmm. Is there any other injury news you want to get into, or should we get into the guards?
Let me just double check. Joel Embiid is questionable. I'm not sure. Like the other guys, like LeBron is uncertain to play. I have no idea. The Lakers need to win, but LeBron played a lot of minutes last night, and AD is supposed to come back tonight. So AD is going to muddy up the Lakers' rotation even more. It's going to be even tougher to get to those guys, everyone on that team.
Yeah, and with AD back, does that kind of just mean we're not playing Westbrook anymore at that high price tag? Because he had been someone that, really had just been the minutes because the usage was there. And now with AD back playing about 20 or 25 minutes, do we see that usage come back down?
I think we have to. Even if AD is only on the court for 20 minutes, he takes up a lot of usage himself. And so if LeBron is out, then I really like getting to Westbrook tonight. But if they're all in, then it's a really thin tournament play, I think.
Mm-hmm. And that just, we can't play Thomas Bryant anymore, right?
Oh man, it's like if Thomas Bryant is going to sit around 5% ownership, it's so tough to play him because you're taking a risk that he just plays 20 minutes. I mean, he had a really good game the other night, but he was playing phenomenal. So I don't know why the coach doesn't play him more. Darvin Ham for the Lakers, like he's the best center on the team when AD is out. I don't get it.
That's the biggest mystery of NBA DFS, isn't it? All these point per minute players that they just don't get run for some reason.
Yeah, I don't understand it. And then the last injury guy I just want to touch on. Brandon Ingram's expected to play today. And so just keep in mind his teammates are basically priced for him to not be playing. So it's not that you can't play the Pelicans. Just keep in mind that their prices are slightly elevated and their usages are all going to go down a little bit.
Yep. It's a great call. And is Najee Marshall, is he playing? He is probable. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and we'll jump into the top guard plays for both FanDuel and DraftKings.
Okay.
So we can start out with the FanDuel side. I'm going to get the spreadsheet sorted by just the top guards here.
Okay.
So if you want to jump into it, feel free to.
Quick.
And just a reminder, guys, if you have any questions, make sure to get those in the chat. We got Nigel saying that Branahan, I hope I didn't butcher that name, is popping for me with Langford out again. But Braun for Denver, a better play if those guys are all ruled out. So, yeah, Nigel's kind of wondering where are we looking at for kind of guard value there?
So Christian Braun on the Denver Nuggets, he's up to 3,900 now. Even if all those other guys are out, I just don't think that we have to get there. I know he paid off the other night at 0.5% ownership or whatever it was. But even if he gets the blowout run here, we really want him to have the best game of his career if we're playing him at 3,900 on this 10-game slate. And so even if every other Nugget is out, that's probably still not a guy that I'm going to get to that much. And then as for the Spurs guys, I mean, they're playing the Lakers, but there's probably going to be some Spurs guys mixed into your lineups. I'm not sure yet. I do know that Branham is not one of my favorites to get to. I'd get to... Oh, that's right, because Langford is out. We'll have to take a look there closer to lock. But as of now, I'm not really getting to any of these lower Spurs guys.
Yeah, and even the like Trey Jones and whatnot, they just feel like they're priced up a little bit too high. It's almost like DraftKings is taking the fun out of playing any Spurs player, pretty much.
Yeah,
just because they're priced too high.
Yeah, it's like Trey Jones should 6,500, I think it's a little bit too high for him. Like we can usually expect close to 30, but he's not often putting up 40. And so that ceiling just isn't there. And then Jakob Poeltl is kind of interesting against this Lakers team. That's probably the spur I'm going to have the most interest in tonight.
Yeah, that makes sense. So just looking at the top values on FanDuel for the guard position, we got DeLon Wright, someone that we kind of mentioned as a decent play, coming in at 5% ownership, so that could be pretty nice. We got the Aaron Fox at 8.3 on FanDuel, coming in at 13% projected ownership. That game is a game that's supposed to be close and high scoring, so it makes sense that some people are chasing it. We got Mike Conley coming in at about 20% ownership, and he seems to be too high owned on FanDuel the last couple of slates. I don't know, I'm struggling with that, but one of the top values, you got Simons, SGA, Ja, Curry. Kind of where are you looking at there?
So TJ McConnell is the starting point for every lineup, I think, today. Even on FanDuel, the 6,700 price. I think he'd have to be close to 8K before I actually make decisions on him. But as of today, like the 68% on FanDuel, 61% on DraftKings. TJ McConnell, top guard on the slate. And then I like DeLon Wright, but he's more of like a pivot. So you don't want to go crazy playing a guy like DeLon Wright. And as for Mike Conley, I really dislike playing Mike Conley when he's chalk. He's going to project well tonight. They're playing Portland. It's a good matchup, but 20% on a 10-game slate for Mike Conley at 5,700 on FanDuel. 5% on DraftKings at 5,600. I'm okay taking shots, but on FanDuel, I'd rather just get away. Like I'd rather pay 400 more and get to Anthony Simons. He seems like a pretty good play on FanDuel. And then you mentioned Ja and Steph. My only problem with Ja is he's not playing over 35 minutes. I think he did play 36 in the previous game, but he's mostly 34 and under. So I'm a little hesitant to get to Ja recently, but it's a great game tonight against Golden State. Same with Steph.
I did want to mention Mike Conley as well. The reason why I don't like him is his most shot attempts, like in the past month, was the last game and getting 12 shot attempts in that game. Typically speaking, he's not even getting double-digit shot attempts. So it just seems strange that on a 10-game slate, he would be that chalky. And like, sure, can he hit value? Can he pay off? Yeah. But I feel like there are better like GPP winning upside plays because even 12 shot attempts is not a lot of shot attempts.
No. And if he was getting, at least 9 assists every game, he's doing it some games, but it's just, I want more if I'm going to pay this much for a point guard today. And TJ McConnell's already taking up the other point guard spot, so we have to be kind of careful with our positions. That
makes perfect sense there to me. I'm just trying to scroll right here right now, just trying to find some cheap value. I mean, KCP, I guess we could look at if a lot of the Denver players are ruled out and he's active. Obviously, we wouldn't love that. We wouldn't be excited about it, but it is someone we could consider. Obviously, Bruce Brown, we already mentioned a little bit for Denver. Anyone else?
Corey Kispert. Corey Kispert on DraftKings at 3,100. 42 on FanDuel. Corey Kispert is probably too thin there, but 3,100 on DraftKings. He played heavy minutes yesterday, and there's no Rui anymore, and so if he's going to pull the ownership, it might be a little bit high, but 3,100 Corey Kispert. And there was one more player here that caught my eye. Buddy Hield. Loved Buddy Hield yesterday. The difference with Buddy Hield now versus a few games ago is TJ McConnell's in the starting lineup, and most of Buddy's minutes are alongside TJ McConnell. So at 6,200 DraftKings, 6,500 FanDuel, under 10% ownership. He was in the optimal lineup yesterday. He had a poor first half, and he still got halfway to value. And then the second half, he just crushed. So I'm going to be very interested in Buddy Hield and TJ McConnell tonight.
Yeah, honestly, at 6.2, Buddy Hield, I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves with the core play section, but he could be a strong argument for the core play section. Just the last 2 games, and you're really just betting on this game staying close with him, but the last 2 games, 39 DK points, and then also 46 DK points, shooting the ball 14 times, shooting the 3 balls over 10 times in each game. I mean, it's tough not to love Buddy Hield today, assuming that game stays close. And like you said, he had a terrible first half, and he was able to bounce back and just have a stellar second half. So maybe we can get a little bit more consistency there from him, so we're not sweating it. But yeah, I love that call there with Buddy Hield. Either way, on FanDuel and DraftKings, it doesn't seem like people are loving him enough just yet.
Yeah, it looks like Benedict Mathurin is pulling way more ownership than him. And yesterday I was talking about Benedict Mathurin because I thought his minutes projection was too high. We had him at 35 off the bench. He ended up playing 34. He ended up having a run. Yeah, he had a really good game. And so I am going to have some interest in Benedict Mathurin today, but my priority is still McConnell and Hield from this team.
And just if Naismith is out, then I think we would just be rolling with Mathurin a little bit more as well. well, we need Andrew Nembhard out as well. There's just some if then statements there. Obviously, Matherin would become a better play if those two players are out.
We need to see a starting lineup, but it's the first game, so we should have that information early.
Yeah, and it is a pretty decent game. I mean, it should relatively stay close. I don't really see either team blowing them out, and it is a pretty high over and under at 235. So definitely an interesting game to attack.
Was it kind of weird that I'm a little bit nervous about going up against Orlando? Like they beat the Celtics 3 times this season, and they actually seem like kind of a tough matchup.
Well, they're fully healthy now too. So
deep rotation. It's tough to target anyone from the Magic, but it's I think it's a little bit tougher than people think it is.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree for sure. And especially with the Pacers, who their star player right now is TJ McConnell. So that doesn't give you all too much confidence there as well.
Yeah, and I mean, since we're on the Pacers, Miles Turner and Quist Dorte, basically we can play all these guys, but we know the priorities. So, but everyone on the Pacers is in play, I think.
Okay, so I feel like we kind of touched on the top guards. Let's go ahead and get into the top forwards on the slate. Yeah, we'll transition to that now. So once again, just getting the information sorted here. I'm not sure we got any more questions coming in. If you guys have those questions, make sure to get those in. Hey, Jayhawk, what's going on, man? Nigel, what's going on? Yeah, if you guys have any questions, make sure to get those in. We have 22 people watching this video and only 3 likes, guys. So if you guys could help us with the channel there, we would appreciate that. Just, a thing that you can do to help the channel out. But yes, looking at the top forwards, and I know Tillman is a center on Yahoo and DraftKings, but on FanDuel, he's got the power forward center eligibility. Are you looking at him as like a lock on FanDuel, or what would your approach be there? Just obviously getting him as a power forward or center.
So Tillman, he's not quite a lock, but at 4,600 with that power forward eligibility, he's going to be a very good play. It's just tough because, like we saw the rotation last game, I'm pretty sure he played more minutes than Brandon Clark. Everyone was all excited about Brandon Clark. Tillman got the start, and he played pretty well. And so on DraftKings, he's center only, so it's a little bit tougher, but that price tag is too cheap if he has a potential to play 30 minutes. We should expect 20 plus, assuming Steven Adams is out. And yeah, and then on DraftKings, or on FanDuel, I'm sorry, I think his ownership's a little bit high. Or is it? Need to refresh. We'll have to see how it looks closer to lock, but I think he's a much better play on DraftKings than on FanDuel, Xavier Tillman.
Yeah, and that would definitely just be, I think, predicated on him starting.
Yeah, yeah, only if he starts.
And so, kind of, oh, I didn't do the positions there, my bad. There we go. So Jonathan Isaac is popping up there as a decent DraftKings value and FanDuel value. What are your thoughts on him?
So I think he's a great basketball player, but if he's only going to play 15, I think did he get 12 minutes last game? I think he got about 12 minutes last game, and it's kind of unplayable, even though he's kind of cheap and he can put up that score. I think we have to wait until his minutes go up a little bit. Makes
sense. Josh Hart always seems to be someone popping up there. He did have a really good game last time out against Utah there, and Damian Lillard really struggled, so I think that's part of the reason as to why. What are you doing with Josh Hart today? Because he is always someone that's popping up, always someone that's a little bit low owned. To me, I kind of call these plays like shoulder shrug plays. Like if you end up on him, you shrug your shoulders and you're okay with it. What are your thoughts on him?
So with Josh Hart, I love targeting him. So teams that I target bigs against, Utah, Charlotte, I like targeting Josh Hart against these teams. And like you said, Josh Hart had a great game against Utah. I think it's a good game environment for the way that he scores his fantasy points. Rebounds, a couple assists, get the stocks. But it's a great game for Josh Hart. So I kind of like him today. I kind of feel like his ownership is going to come in a little higher on DraftKings. But if it stays around 10%, then that's awesome.
It's a cheap way to get some pieces of a pretty appealing game.
Yeah, and like again, it's not a guy you're super excited to play, but if he's the last one in and it makes your lineup fit, we're very happy to have Josh Hart in as our last guy in.
Okay, and then we did just get a question about Jaren Jackson Jr. We have him projected to be a pretty good value on both FanDuel and DraftKings, coming in pretty low owned as well. 8% on FanDuel, 6 is that the right one? No, 2% and 1%. What are you doing with Jaren Jackson? Do you think he's going to be a good play? Got him 32. Nope, that's Jaden McDaniels getting 29 minutes.
So even though Steven Adams is out, Jaren Jaren Jackson to me is a guy that he's always a tournament play, especially when he's coming in at this 1%. He's 7,100, so I don't know that there's ever a day we're going to be targeting Jaren Jackson. I know the field will be after he has 2 good games in a row or something like that. But players like this, 7,100, capable of putting up big scores at 1% ownership, I think we just have to mix them into our player pools almost every day. Don't go crazy. You only need a couple percent.
Yeah, I feel like that's people just see that with Steven Adams being out and they just want to hammer him. This is a game that isn't. It could blow out, and it blew out the last time they played, and he only got 20 DK points. So, obviously that makes you nervous. The last game we literally saw, they got blown out against the Kings, had 33 DK points. So yeah, sure, the game stays close. That's really what you're betting on is the game staying close. Can't really guarantee that tonight. I worry about Memphis a little bit.
Yeah.
But obviously Ja was out last game, right?
Yeah. They were missing a bunch of guys. Well, John Steven Adams, but.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Just a GPP play. It could easily put up 45 DK points at a cheap price tag. Others popping up there. Eric Gordon, GPP only play, right? I mean, pretty as simple as that.
Yeah.
Andrew Wiggins, kind of same thing. You're trying to get lucky with these guys. We kind of mentioned Pat Connaughton as a decent possible play with Bobby Portis out, with Pat Connaughton, with Grayson Allen, even with Joe Ingles a little bit. The thought behind them as a play is just trying to get lucky with slightly added minutes and maybe getting hot from the 3-ball range, especially more so with Pat Connaughton and Grayson Allen. I'm not really seeing that many standout value-based forward plays.
Yeah, it's kind of tough. Like you mentioned Andrew Wiggins, and Andrew Wiggins I have interest in at the 6K price under 10%. He had a terrible game last time, and so playing Andrew Wiggins today is just banking on him coming in with low ownership, and he should play 34 minutes if it's a close game. And yeah, Denny's really the main forward I think we should be getting to today. The rebounding floor seems so safe.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty chalky. He kind of seems like the obvious play, but I would say he would make for a pretty strong core play. He would make for a very logical play either way, like someone we should be forcing in.
Yeah.
And I'm writing him down just so I can remember that at the end of the video because I do think he should be a core play. I sorted by just the OF index real quick just to see which players are popping up the most there. Obviously, Giannis. We got LeBron, Markkanen, who his price on FanDuel is still highly appealing, and he's still coming in at 2% projected ownership. I don't get what's going on there. He's someone that has really been strong, especially considering that price tag. I mean, do you think that should be 8% or what's going on with Markkanen there?
I always think Laurie should be. I never think he should be 2% owned. If he's 10K, then maybe. But 9,100 DraftKings, 8,800 on FanDuel, projected for 2% ownership. He's the third player in our model. I mean, so what I was going to say if we're starting our lineup with say TJ McConnell and Denny Avdia, we can play these high-owned players. There are a couple others we mentioned. If we're finding plays like Lauri Markkanen at 2%, maybe Anthony Edwards at 6%, Jaren Jackson at 2%. These guys are at the top of the model and no one's getting to them. I think the strategy today is play the good chalk and mix in these low-owned plays at the top of the model. Really easy.
And I just don't get it. What he's had 2 relatively bad games at 48 and 42 DK points prior to that, 61, 50, and 50. And he's cheaper on FanDuel. I mean, that is just, it's strange. And it's a good game against Portland.
Yeah, we should have more than 2% of Laurie in our lineups today.
All right, so we got Anthony Edwards popping up there as well. We didn't get news on Rudy Gobert, did we just yet? I don't think so. He'd be someone I think I would want to target more so if Gobert was out at this price tag.
Yes.
Are you attacking him at all? I mean,
Anthony Edwards, I think if I am, it's mostly just because I need to pay for someone today. There's not a lot of pay-ups on the slate, as you guys can see at the I have it filtered to forwards only, never mind. But Anthony Edwards, yeah, it looks like he's popping up in my early run about 9% on DraftKings. His price is a little bit higher, but especially if so Brandon Ingram's back, I don't think that really changes much. But Anthony Edwards is going to look pretty good tonight either way.
Yeah, I agree. Then we already kind of mentioned Keldon Johnson as sure, you can mess around with the Spurs if you want to. Kyle Kuzma, GPP only play, coming in pretty chalky. Bingtera as well, coming in pretty chalky as well at that price tag. And I kind of get that 7K on DraftKings. It is an appealing GPP play, but with the Magic being fully back and healthy, we have seen it be less consistent in terms of fantasy production. Do you have any exposure to those two at all? We'll start with Banchero.
So Paolo Banchero, yeah, I do. It's kind of uncomfortable, but he's so cheap, and he's a good basketball player. To Indiana, like I mentioned, I think Orlando is better than people think. Yeah, so I'm gonna be getting to some Paolo today. I don't know that he's quite core though, but he's more than a target, so he's like borderline core, I think.
Yeah, I'm struggling. I feel like that's too chalky, and I get the
Yeah,
appeal and I get the price
yeah,
point. He really could go off for 40, more than
yeah.
that. I don't know. I get it. Obviously, I'm more of a cash player, single entry type player. You're more of a GPP player, so I get why you'd want to be on him. But whew,
Yeah, it's high ownership. I can't imagine I'm gonna come in above that 20%.
mhm,
I'll probably be half the field if I had to guess.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Blowout costs lower in the past nights. Yeah, I mean blowouts are going to happen. It's part of the equation, but with blowouts, at least he'd be on the positive end of the blowout there. So that's really what we're hoping for. That was just a question there that we got. More of a
Yeah.
statement, I guess. But
There's another forward that.
I mean, John Collins. Are we touching John Collins at all?
So if Okongwu is out, I really liked getting to John Collins on the last slate. I think Capella too. Both of them are going to look like really, really good plays. If Okongwu's out, I think people are going to go to Capella more than Collins since he had the better game last time. But I think we should be getting to both of them.
I mean, John Collins was 1 rebound shy of a triple or a double. Had a little bit too many turnovers, 5 turnovers, 3 fouls. So obviously that knocked him a little bit close to getting the double bonus. Played a lot of minutes. Yeah, I feel like Collins would be a pretty awesome play, and I feel like he would have a high floor as well. But I mean, I would say Capella would be one of my core plays if we get news that Ogonkwu's out.
Yeah, I mean, Capella played, 34 or 36 minutes last game? That's never
That's what
happening
was
with
eye-popping.
Okongwu.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the thing. And, I'm pretty sure the industry is still going to project him for less minutes than he's probably going to play today. So I think we want to be over the field on Capella if Okongwu's out.
And then just touching on it as well a little bit further, going against OKC, that's obviously a matchup that we like. He really went off against OKC the last time they played, considering this price tag, 37 DK points in that game, had a double as well. So, yeah, pretty strong play there.
Oh, yeah.
And so, with that, we'll just segue right into the center plays.
See some centers.
So we already mentioned Capella would be a pretty good center play. Just if Anyika Ngankwu's out, that'd be a target you can definitely go with. I would say you probably couldn't play. You could play him, I guess, if Anyika's active, but definitely not a must play. Definitely just GPP only plays. So where are you starting today with the center position?
It actually might be Capella. Looking through the list, there's always low-owned centers I'm interested in, but it looks like Capella is the one I'm most interested in today. I like Sengun, but his price is coming up. He had a poor showing last game, but I still think he's a great play today.
Yeah, and then we kind of mentioned Tillman a little bit. Basically, if he's starting, we'll play him. And I know you typically like to run out 2 centers. Would you say those would be your 2 highest owned centers if that's what we get, or no?
Well, just looking at it now, my highest owned center, I need to change this, but it's Zach Collins at 3.6K.
Okay.
I don't love him, but I'm going to have to adjust that. But he just fits pretty easily. The problem is he's center only. If he was power forward eligible on DraftKings, Zach Collins would be a pretty great play today. As it is, I think he's a good play.
He'd be more chalky there. Okay, so do we do Tillman and Collins at the center position on DraftKings? Just punt 2 centers cheap and then try to pay up for Giannis and, I don't know, SGA or something?
It's a risk. It's certainly probably a different lineup construction because I just don't. I mean, they might be a little bit chalkier, but actually that might be a kind of a chalky combo because it does let you get to everything
but it's unique
else.
though, I think, because people are probably, like you said, are going to go one or the other.
Right, and then maybe they mix in Joel Embiid or Giannis is center eligible. I don't know, some other centers though. Nurkic against Utah is a guy that I'm very interested in today at less than 5% ownership. And I think something with Pascal Siakam, but I'm not sure yet. But Pascal against Sacramento at center under 10K seems like a really good play.
And then I personally really like Gafford, for me, it's just stay out of foul trouble. He's a good price tag as well. It's just, is he going to score that much more than Collins or Tillman? That's the biggest question.
Yeah, but that's why we take the risks in GPPs. He's capable,
Exactly.
so.
Let's see. Anyone else?
Is there anyone on FanDuel specifically that's popping up more so? Like Brandon Clark is going to be popping for people, but I think we need to see the starting lineup.
Yeah.
He's probably not going to start again today. So just be careful with Brandon Clark. But
yeah, I mean, Tillman just played so well. It would be tough to imagine taking minutes away from him.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't think that they played any minutes next to each other, which I thought they might for a few minutes, but I think Brandon Clark is kind of like the guy that's on the outside looking in right now.
Yeah.
But so
we kind of mentioned Brook Lopez as a possible, you could be overweight on him, maybe more so on DraftKings where he's a little bit cheaper, 1% owned. Just with Bobby Portis out, could get a little bit more usage. A couple more rebounds coming his way, maybe a couple more 3-ball attempts. Don't mind chasing that.
If Precious Achiuwa is starting for Toronto, if OG's out, then he's going to be a pretty decent play, power forward eligible on FanDuel also.
Okay, yeah. Is it coming in very low owned? 22 minutes.
It might change if with the starting lineup, but we'll get him at lower ownership, so that's fantastic.
His minutes would be what, about 28 with OG out?
That's not. Yeah, I think we could project him around there. That sounds right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that definitely become a better play. So I'll check and see if we have any questions here. Orlando's starting lineup is up now. Okay. Good stuff. I don't think we're going to have surprises with Orlando, though. Like, they're just spreading the wealth.
Yeah, that's the problem. They have too many players, Orlando. So.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get into kind of our core plays section, just highlighting the top players on today's slate as it sits. Obviously, we're recording this video about an hour and a half before lineup lock, and so that's going to be before, maybe 2 hours before some of the news comes out just throughout the day. Just make sure to be in the Discord chat. Links to that are in the description below, as well as some of the tools that you guys are seeing in this video. But starting with it, core play number 1 for you. All right, no. Let's do core play number 3, and we'll count ourselves down.
Core play number 3. I'm not quite sure. Do you have your core play number 3? I know my 1 and 2. I'm not sure.
Okay, so
3 yet.
I had Gafford on PrizePicks yesterday, and he let me down by fouling out, missed out by 1. So I've told myself, you know what? I think it was the correct move. I like this game. I'm going to double down, and he's not going to foul out for the 3rd straight game. So okay. I don't want to say he's like a core play in the sense that, like in cash, he's a must play. I would say Tillman, if he's starting, you definitely want to do that instead. But we already know the news that Hachimura is not there and Porzingis is out. So that's part of it. And I just think the GPP upside is there for him to go for 35, 30 DK points if he gets 25 minutes in this matchup, which is what we have him projected to get. So in that sense, I like the upside that Gafford presents. Probably is going to be lower owned because he let people down yesterday as well.
Yeah, I'm all for that. Yeah. Yeah, Gafford sounds great. So with my other core, it was Avdia and McConnell. And so I think we can play Avdia and Gafford in the same lineup. That doesn't seem like a problem.
Yep. Okay, so those were my other 2. So we'll start with Denny there in that game. Just 10 minutes or 10 rebounds, 15 points, 32 minutes. Is he going to get around 30 again, 30 minutes?
I'd be kind of surprised if he doesn't. I wasn't sure if Will Barton was going to re-enter the rotation yesterday. He did, but he only played a few minutes. Delon Wright didn't really get any extra minutes, so I think Denny's minutes are kind of safe here.
Yep. Okay, and then we just decided TJ McConnell just really going to be, he's probably chalky, but he's chalky for a reason. Going against Orlando, this is a good matchup. Playing a lot of minutes, having a huge usage, and just, man, he got triple-double, which is really not out of the norm for him when he gets that many minutes. Like, he really pats the stat sheet. Sorry. Is he just like a lock and load? I mean, I'd never like to use the lock word, but in this sense, it feels like he has been the last 2 slates. Is he still that?
So it's like the only player I've been comfortable locking this season is Tyus Jones when he's cheap starting for Jaw. This is kind of a similar situation. TJ McConnell's a little bit more expensive, but I mean, yesterday I think he was in 70% of my lineups. I was above the field, but it was still not enough. And so he's going to be in most of my lineups today. Yeah.
So you kind of mentioned it. Like, I will be someone that, I'm entering one main lineup, per slate pretty much. And that's my focus. When we got the news that TJ McConnell was starting the last 2 nights, I ended up putting out more entries and more lineups because of that news, because it seemed like such a good spot,
Yeah, it's just he's so far and away the player with the highest chance of being in the winning lineup tonight. And it's like a function of his ownership being so high, as if even if he doesn't put up 40, there's still a pretty good chance he's in the winning lineup.
And so I think we kind of touched on this in passing as well. Just to kind of recap it, if people are just jumping to this section when they come in, Clint Capella to us, I don't want to speak for you, but I think we kind of agreed on this, would be a core play if we get news that Anika is out. Just give him the price tag. It is very cheap. Got 36 minutes in his for the first time in a while, but basically coming back from injury, looked good. Or first time getting over 30 minutes since coming back from injury, looked good doing it. Had a dominant performance against the Thunder last time out. Was that accurate? You'd just be looking into him if we get that news?
Oh, Clint would probably be he'd for sure be one of my top 3 highest centers, I think, along with Gafford. Gafford's going to be one of my top guys today, and then Clint. And then I'm not sure who else, but Clint's going to be up there for sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then just because it is a slate in which it is such a star-studded, or not star-studded, value-based slate, which stars should we be trying to chase? I feel like we need to talk about this. I'll start with saying like LeBron. I don't know if we can play him with AD back. Now he seems a little bit priced up. 2 weeks ago, for the past like 2 months, had been too cheap. Now he feels a little bit too priced up.
Yeah, if you want to take a shot on LeBron today, that seems fine. He's going to come in low ownership because he's hard to get to. People are going to, just pay a little bit. Oh, LeBron is the highest, most expensive player on the slate. Not sure I've seen this before. He's more expensive than Giannis and Jokic.
Yep.
So I think we could take shots on LeBron. I mean, 2% ownership. He was 6% owned last night, and he was the best play on the slate by a mile. So
yes. Jokic against Brook and Giannis.
Yeah.
Other center plays out there that we like.
Yeah, if Jokic plays, he should come in lower ownership. Fan of Jokic. Fan of Giannis. I mean, I'm okay getting to these guys. And then Joel Embiid versus Brooklyn, too. I think we need to be looking at.
The issue is that Jokic questionable, Embiid questionable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes it more difficult, especially with the later lock time. So this is definitely going to be a slate in which we need to be around after lineup blocking. I mean, we should already be doing that, but for sure. I would say as well, if Embiid is out, would it just be targeting Harden a decent amount?
Yeah, so with Harden, I think his projection looks okay today. And then if you buy into the revenge narratives, you can give him like a 3% or 5% boost or something like that. I think that's fine. Especially if Embiid's out, Harden's going to be phenomenal. And on the other side of that game, I didn't mention Kyrie Irving, but Kyrie Irving I think is going to look pretty good at his price. I think the 10K flat is still a really good price for him if he's going to come in with low ownership.
Yeah, especially GPP wise, where he can really just get hot and break a slate.
Yeah, and it's not hard to fit him in today. We have some value, and we'll get more later.
All right, so we did have a question here. We are going to move into the closing section. So if you guys have any more questions, get them in. So Glenn said, "Hey, I got in a little bit late. How do you guys feel about Buddy Hield?" I'll let you take that.
Yeah, love him. Actually, now that I think about it, Buddy Hield might be my third court piece after McConnell and Denny Avdia. I just think Buddy is so cheap, and if his ownership's probably going to come in a little over 10%. But I just think he's such a good play with TJ McConnell on the court next to him. Like we did get a little lucky that he saved himself in the second half, but if he can do that from the start of the game, then it's just going to be such a good play today.
Yeah, I mean, 10 3-ball shot attempts, it's just insane.
Yeah, 39 minutes. So
I mean, it's a game that's expected to stay close as well. So
yeah. So it's always tough being the first game, but just find a good way to balance the ownership with possible news that comes out later.
And then we did get another question, or I shouldn't say another question, but got asked about Bruce Brown. We like him. He's kind of like the first Denver player that we feel good about on tonight's slate, simply because we don't know the other injury situations that are going on there for sure just yet. Anything to add to that?
No, if Jamal and Jokic are out, Bruce Brown probably one of the top plays on the slate. If one of them's out, probably still a very good GPP play. I think he's a really good pivot from Josh Hart. If the ownership is going to be kind of different, they're kind of the same play, and so
that makes sense. And it is a later game as well, so we're really just prepping to be around after lineup lock today for sure, and just making sure we're making our most optimal builds.
Yeah. Do we like Ben Simmons versus Sixers? So the problem with Ben Simmons is he is like just running up and down the court. He's so scared to shoot the ball. He's not getting full minutes, and so he's a GPP play. But he was the guy I was targeting earlier in the season, but I don't think we're targeting Ben Simmons right now. Like his price is good. I don't know.
Does he benefit with Embiid being out, like mentally?
Oh man, maybe actually, yeah. That might be something there.
Oh, jeez. It's sad that he's like the only player that we have to have like a separate thought process for, like the mental side of it.
Yeah, like Embiid could just say one word to him at the free throw line and that's it. It's over for the game.
Yeah, exactly. Would you, all right, so another thought process with that, if Embiid is out, would you actually like Claxton a little bit?
I still like Claxton as it is, even if Embiid's in. He's playing heavy minutes, and I saw a joke on Twitter that like Ben Simmons on the court is so good for Brooklyn centers because they know that Ben Simmons isn't going to take a shot, and it's kind of true. Like Nick Claxton is getting really easy shots. Look at his shooting percentage. Like it's always been like this. But the fact that he's getting up 13 shots is really significant.
Makes sense.
And so good tournament play. Claxton, even better if Embiid's out.
And heck, if he misses one of those bunnies, that's probably why his rebounds have been up a little bit more recently as well.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So we got some more questions rolling in. Sengun.
Yeah, I like getting the Sengun.
Play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just priced up a little bit. That's all. Banking on him getting minutes and obviously taking advantage of the easy matchup with Washington. I would say if you are playing Sengun, don't play Gafford because then Sengun's going to get him into foul trouble. That's kind of my thought process there.
Yeah, there is something about that. Yeah, definitely.
And then, so do you guys like Morant or Bane tonight?
No. With Morant, it's just I'd rather pay for any of the other studs because he's not playing the minutes right now. Bane, I think, is fine. He's around 7K still, right?
Yeah, he's kind of always, I feel like, going to be priced there now just with Josh sitting out random games and just given the fact that he's been very consistent as well.
Yeah, he I think he scored 0 points in the fourth quarter last game and they got blown out after being a close game the whole time. But 7,300 for Bane on DraftKings with the 3-point bonus, I think that's fine.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of just if you're ending up on him, you're ending up on him and feeling all right with it. So I need to pull up Ja Morant here. Is it more of a matchup thing, like just paying up for the other studs because they have a higher likelihood to get into 50 DK points, 48 DK points, whereas Ja he's been very consistent, but he just hasn't had those spike games. I know last time out against Golden State had 56, but that's like literally probably, I think that is his best game in like the last like month and a half.
Mm-hmm. It's just we have Ja projected for 34 minutes. That's probably fine. That seems like a fine projection, but 20% ownership on both sides. He's a little bit cheaper than usual, but I mean, he's the highest on stud, and I think he's the worst option out of all of them. So I'm going to be probably not playing Ja at all tonight. I'm just going to take the risk and fade.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. Okay, so do we like Russell? No, just with AD back, the usage should shift back to normal to the point where, sure, I guess he could be an okay. I don't even want to say he'd be an okay GPP play at that price tag. It is just a great matchup. I don't know. I kind of want to see it first at this price tag.
Is that I think he's asking about D'Angelo Russell too.
Oh, okay.
D'Lo.
Oh, I didn't see that. Okay, yep.
D'Angelo he would be Russell. An okay play. Yeah, he'd be an okay play. I know he went off last game, but D'Lo's always a good GPP play at low ownership.
Mm-hmm. He would get a little bit more of a boost for me if Gobert's out, but either way, still useful at 6.9.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And I wanted to touch on the Toronto-Sacramento game before I forget, because I think that this game is kind of going a little bit overlooked, and to me, it's the best fantasy game on the slate. Toronto gets a boost playing against Sacramento. Sacramento, I don't know that they get a boost playing against Toronto, but Scotty Barnes, Fred VanVleet, Pascal. If OG is out, then Precious Achiuwa. And then on the Sacramento side, not as much, but the Toronto guys I'm very interested in at this extremely low ownership today. I think this is a spot we want to target in GPPs.
So kind of to your point about Ja being a little bit priced up, like you can get the same relative recent production with Fred VanVleet in a very similar favorable matchup.
To me, it's not close. I'm playing, like, if they were the same price, I'd probably still get to Fred VanVleet over Ja.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
That might be an exaggeration, but
you get no one clip that. It's
yeah.
We're making a point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the shot attempts have just been there for Fred, and even when they're not, he got double-digit assists. It's just a great matchup, like you mentioned. I like them all, but I personally I like Fred probably the most. Van Vliet, obviously Siakam's priced a little bit higher. You can get to Siakam a little bit. I'm saying with price considered, I would say Fred's my favorite.
Yeah, I think Fred and Scotty are my two here, and then the other guys.
So Harden or Lillard, I would honestly just say Harden if Embiid's out. Lillard is just solid.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good way to look at it. So Damian has been on an insane scoring streak, and he's doing it every game. Sorry, Utah's not exactly a tough matchup, but I mean we can take shots. I mean it's kind of, to me it's flip a coin. I don't think there's a lot of difference. I think Dame has a better matchup, but if Embiid's out, then Harden's usage is just going to be, through the roof.
Yeah. And then last question of the night, and then we'll begin out of here. Favorite mid-price point guards.
Let's take a look.
Does that count as McConnell at 6K? Because it'd be him. I would assume under 6K.
Yeah, McConnell is the mid-priced point guard. After him, close to 6K. I don't know that there's just looking through my point guard exposure, it's all the more expensive guys. I'm getting to some DeJounte, Trae Young, SGA, Fred VanVleet. Like D'Angelo Russell's a pretty good play. Markelle Fultz, good tournament play. Dame.
I personally don't mind Jordan Clarkson at 6.6, but that's starting to get priced up a little bit too much. Jordan Clarkson can get hot and score 40, but that's more just game chasing there.
Yeah, I'm okay getting to Jordan Clarkson. His price seems fine. And Delon Wright at 4.1K. Maybe we don't have to get there, but I kind of like playing him. And then Mike Conley is a guy that I'm going to try to get away from a little bit. But if his ownership tanks, if his ownership comes in way lower, then we can have interest in Mike Conley.
I'm kind of seeing why his ownership is as high as it is now, just looking at this a little bit more like this, because he is literally, other than McConnell, he's like the only player in that price range that you feel really comfortable with, or else you're just dropping down. That makes sense now.
Yeah, I kind of see that now too. I don't know. I think if I had my single entry is probably going to have McConnell and Fred VanVleet as the 2-point guards, and then I'm not sure about the other spot. But with Avdia and probably Capella, if that comes true. So that's pretty good starting. I mean, it's pretty much what we gave you already with Buddy Hield, maybe.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is going to be it for today's live stream. If you guys are leaving, make sure to give us a thumbs up. That just helps out the channel out. Hopefully we have a good slate. Just a reminder to be in the Discord chat before lock. Link to that is going to be in the description below, as well as access to any of the tools that you saw in this video. We got a couple of questions. Do I answer them or no?
Devin Booker missed. I'm not answering that question.
Okay, we're good then. All right, Chuck, you got anything to say before we get out?
Play TJ McConnell tonight.
He's going to get injured at the first quarter or something now. Just
be a disaster.
All right, that's all, guys. Be in the Discord chat. It is going to be a very impacting slate after lock. So after the 6 p.m. lock. So be in there. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Let's have a good slate. And as always, good luck.
Good luck, guys. Thanks.